Good morning, everyone. I found the next problem of stream, because sometimes when people comment, it does not show. Like, I don't know what's going on, because sometimes when I look at it, it just keeps spinning, but it doesn't update who comments next. But sometimes it pops up in the screen on my stream, but not on the actual chat section. this thing rewatch exactly because I've done this, and then I'll finish my lunch, do some skincare, and then I'll come back for this my game. I actually watched this thing, but I just want to, embrace it, absorb it, enjoy it more.
Yeah, I think that's the thing,
Another
right?
thing
because
is, their song is fire. Anyways, I love the songs in EMEA. I don't know. It's just.
Hope that Vitality have the balls to run the
promise it's gonna be
ISO
short.
comp and to try and
really
confirm
fast.
what Durka was saying, that he can make that comp a little bit better. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about this split, because it looks a little bit different, Billy, to when Durka was on this team. You know, Fnatic has brought out new stuff.
yeah, Fnatic have brought out new stuff, and I think it's really nice to see them kind of playing that double duelist. I think I've said it in the past, when we see Alpha jump onto that duelist, we see Kayak so much more comfortable. I think Crashes as well coming into this split, I'm going to be keeping my eye on. I think he had a great fade last week, so yeah, it's been really, really nice to see them kind of look comfortable on this map.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of that we're talking now about Durka, but I love that you bring up Kayak, especially when we think about that last map that we saw last week. It took him to grab that operator and started to chain the kills together, but the effect and the atmosphere that you could see in the rest of Fnatic just hyping
I'm gonna
him
eat
up,
now.
even though
You're
he was
gonna
having a
hear.
bad map,
You're
is
gonna
something
hear
that
the
he's
mukbang
probably,
through the mic.
If he needs it here in Split, it's definitely gonna be there.
Let's not forget the other players on Vitality, because for Safe, Kicks, and Runner, this is revenge. This is a grudge match for the grand finals we had last year. There will be no changes on Split, because why would they?
Why would you? Why would you? For Vitality, we already mentioned the Zivov moving on to the Omen. My eyes also go to Kix. This is one of his best maps. And when we think about Safe and this comfort that they found in Brendan Zivov and putting him in that controller role, I want to see, because last week we only saw Safe playing that Techo. I want to see if he's going to be excelling at the agent. Is he going to become the best Techo?
Would have some. I guess it's in that map. Fnatic
Have changed with Euro.
I thought we were about to start. It's so long. The introduction.
Also come
What's happening?
the kind of diversity of agents.
I'm very excited. The perk is obviously from or two and a trophy or two lifted. We're diving into Split to start this one out. Tom, what's your impression of how we've ended up in this veto? Split, Lotus, and Haven. Does it lean to either team?
But the interesting thing is you go back to, last week where we had that sort of GX matchup, and Vitality have gone for the exact same pool. So clearly feeling very comfortable where they ended up, but that also gives the tape over to Fnatic. Durka, though, he is looking to battle and brawl within the first seconds of the round, but could just all be a ruse. The rest of the team is still patiently waiting back in mid.
Yeah, and you've still got that gate crash down inside sewers as well, so a decent fallback option if they need it. The idea to fake out early, and not much of a reaction from Fnatic. Very stable as they push up in B main, gaining control, and Alphair was tucked in that corner the entire time, getting a reward for his patience here. You see the Yoru, you think maybe it could be a fake, it could be looking to gate crash back, but now they've got the steps as well, confirming that this attacking side is moving up into heaven. Alphair greets them there as well. A double opener, but Safe puts him to bed. There's still a chance on this A side hold, but with the fast rotations coming behind them being boxed in with that middle push-up that's come through from Chronicle, and players rotating into the site, it's still quite an uphill battle.
It's looking rough at this stage for the side of Vitality. Boaster just playing passive, a wraparound already coming in from behind, and Safe is going to have to hit the shot immediately and won't be given the chance. Kicks stuck in the mud. The grab will bring it back, still manages to get one, but that will be all she wrote. First round will go the way of Fnatic, and that's the thing. We come into this matchup, one with a potential for either side to take it. Obviously, you go historically, Fnatic have always been the ones winning that fight of the two teams, but this is the first case where Durka is on the other side of the pool and as the best duelist, and well, if you look at who won Duelist of the Year last year, also the second best duelist being on the team. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if Fnatic can weather that storm and keep that streak going.
Well, at least for now, it started out well, 1-0 as they begin, and an Outlaw purchased up in round two. I'm happy to see it. Can't wait to see what Alphair can get done with it. In this round, Well, it might be later in the round. It could even be the retake where he's needed. Vitality, they don't have a lot to work with. Granted, weaker weapons across the board. Pistols, classics, and one Sheriff. They move towards the A site, which was wide open. The only person defending it is Crashies with his early utility, hoping to garner some information, but Vitality already gave that info away, and the gate crash into site gets Durka all of this space. The plant will be difficult to stop without a big risk with a peek out of heaven, and so, yeah, a post plant. Not bad start for Vitality already.
The issue is, other than the extra credits, now it comes down to how much they can garner. Nice usage, actually, of that Aftershock is going to help them out quite significantly. 2 picks already. Kicks now stuck in the backlines. Sheriff in hand. 3 players to find. It would be an absurd way to start off this matchup. Nice shot on the first, but can't quite correct. Very close, actually, to taking down Boaster. It's damage. It's not bad, but Fnatic still convert.
Yeah, I think Vitality get the best of both worlds here with being able to push into a site where it's not very heavily defended, and then they get those close range engagements with the pistols as the players are coming back out of screens. So yeah, when push comes to shove in the rest of the fights, you're not going to be winning them, but well-placed utility and a good gamble early rounds resulted in a dent to the Fnatic economy at the very least.
But now again, baby. Every day I'm shooting at the start.
We're getting back to reality though for Vitality. Yeah. They've made it work pretty well with a minimal investment. Now the big guns come through.
I'm excited for this one. I feel like both teams have come in with high energy. Saw Alfier a little bit early on, and he said he's definitely ready to play, ready to go, and I think he's going to want to beat his old teammate. For now though, it's his teammate of Kayak already getting that early aggression onto Safe. Bear in mind, of course, that there are still a few vulnerabilities here for the side of Fnatic, but a victory would send their economy skyrocketing and also retrieve some extra weapons as they go. Spot, Crashies on a Stinger. That Outlaw, okay, still decent, but still in play.
Well, the Outlaw giving them opportunities as well, you know, even if Crashies just peppers them up. Already seen through that cage, but Chronicle going down in mid, it's going to cause problems. You're losing your Viper wall and some A control as a result, at least a denial on the push, but instead they go pushing. Fnatic find a pick back in the other direction, keep that advantage now in a 3 versus 4, and Vitality very much moving towards the position that Fnatic want them to, right into the waiting hands of Kayak.
Yeah, it's been fantastic so far. Boaster as well, even just said it seconds ago. He's on point. He's been fragging. They will be the point of contention.
30 seconds left.
Haven't cleared him, and eyes are focused on Kayak. Doors open for Boaster. He welcomes himself in. That's a double pick from the back side. A great round from Kayak as well. Fnatic really heating up, or rather coming in hot with a 3-0 start and denial of the early buy round from Vitality. This is going to be quite the lead built up on the defensive side. Let's talk expectations as well, Tom. Like, you're seeing 3-0 on the board for Fnatic. How worried are Vitality at this point?
But that's been the interesting thing. You look back to the very small amount of data we have from stage 1, and both teams have had very successful attack sides. So you're talking a 9-3 versus GX, and that game actually started to slip back a little bit. And then on the other side, an 8-4 versus Na'Vi for Fnatic. The question I have, though, is that are some of the heroes for either side still going to have the same level? Crashies had an insane game last week to help them get the victory over Na'Vi. And wow, Sivu maybe coming out with the debut of the season? Or definitely debut of the season, maybe debut of ever in the NBA.
Yeah, well, I mean, coming into this week, well, coming into today, he's the leader in terms of ACS. He was second last week after all the games were played. Second to Zeus, who...
Yeah.
He was all right in the first week, so that's not bad. Again, low investment from Vitality, so not too excited to see these battles going on, as they should go the way that they have. A bit of a dent that Vitality are able to dish out, but for the most part, again, dominance for Fnatic.
One other talking point is the fact, though, that if you're going to go into the exact same veto as you did in week 1 against Fnatic, like, okay, we've obviously had changes in coaching staff with Milan and Scott now as that sort of leading way. Yeah, of course, you're supporting the Irish guy. But no, genuinely, from what we've heard from BBL as well, those guys do their research. I've seen Milan. No offense, Matt. Doesn't look like you've slept a lot. I think he's been up all night prepping for this game. So obviously the same can be said for the other side, Vitality. But you have given them the data to look at, and they're coming in with the exact same idea.
Well, 4-0 start. As you said, it's been good attack sides, and so for Vitality, they know that Maybe the worst is yet to come. It's time to start putting rounds up on the board, and this is where you do it. Rolling Thunder online alongside Safe, although he doesn't have his ult, he's still got those salvos and will incrementally through the rounds. Don't think we used them early on. Indeed, they wouldn't be online had they have been used, as you've seen just a default. Vitality spreading across the map, waiting for aggression, and they've spotted that a couple times that aggro's come in once they take space elsewhere. A smoke goes up in mid, and that prompts a B push, but not ready for it to pack quite that much of a punch in a big round for Vitality. They're already a man behind.
Look back to that GX game. Sivo was lurking there a lot. I think that might just be direct pressure. Flash through. Alfier is watching, but Durka timing almost works out for him. But either way, it has forced them back. An important entry though. Chronicle down, leaves a bit of an opening, but the B main aggression is still there. Kayak is waiting, not gonna fall for it, and then gets the easy shot. Now has his dimensional drift, and Alfier for support, who's gonna swing back in. Safe connects one while still on the ropes, but they know exactly where he is. An easy pick off for Boaster, and now left onto less. 20 seconds and Kayak just is not missing a beat. What a start this guy is having mentioned.
Much
well,
better.
I think we have had
shining
some lack of
in
expectations from Kayak, like whether he can match up to the likes of Durka.
Now he's
doing all right.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be questions.
Hey, see?
That's exactly what we were touching on as well. That's great to see. Thank you very much to our ABS team for that one. The idea that, again, they're taking mid. You see that take. What was the response in some of the early rounds? Push B main, same thing here, but because Vitality didn't have players in position earlier, they didn't know that Yoru flash was being used. They weren't ready for the pop, and the reaction to jump up behind the boxes was punished very quickly indeed. Vitality go back to the drawing board here, as, make no mistake, their game plan was bait aggression out of the pulling head and work out and around needing Fnatic.
I did see her on screen, so I think clearly taking, going to see something slightly more direct, because as you said, adaptations being made from Fnatic on the fly. All the way you can take that away from them is surprise factor.
Salvos lined up. TP in the back of B will come in just after salvos have fully popped. Or just before, in fact. Durka's going to tank a little bit of it for the element of surprise. Hasn't been able to catch anyone off guard, but this is a great round to take those risks in when you've got those weaker weapons. Armageddon calls it goes. Get out! He has to fight them here and now! And at least manages to keep things even. The ult trade out, well, if it was just for the kill, it wouldn't be worth it, but now they've got heaven control and a real chance in this round.
Dimensional drift also available. That's just been picked up by Durka. Means he can get them the information if he needs. Instead, he's just going to go fighting, just beating his old IGL with only a ghost in hand. This leaves Kayak 9-2. Operator, not really the gun you'd want in these sort of moments. He'd have to pick less out of the corner, and he checks the right position, but doesn't quite find that final kill. Pace save card thrifty is what gets Vitality onto the board, and I don't know what was said in that pause, but it was bang on.
Yeah, absolutely the right call. Just putting that bit more pressure on early.
The stun
like we said, taking some risks. Alpha obviously trying to dodge the stone with that jump up, doesn't manage to, but still picks off a kill. But it's the chaos on the site. Both the player in heaven being crept up on, and then the fact that you're looking the wrong way. Boaster worried about that heaven walk up, worried about Les, who just found a pick moments ago. Ends up missing out on Durka. 5-1. Vitality, they put a round on the board, and the reason I was so worried is I thought it would be 6-0 with a buy round, putting them on a knife's edge of how this game was going to go, but instead, they've put a very early round up in that week 5.
It has to be just the escape from Kayak. They set him up. Basically succeed. It looks like there's going to be an immediate response though, an attempt to deny any chance at a plant, the utilization of that showstopper, but it actually hasn't got the kill. The player at backside with the spike still survives. Safe has just popped off as well. 2 of his own.
I don't know how Kix is still alive. Well, I do. The stairs saved him. Just the corner of them caught the showstopper as it was firing into, well, what would have been certain death for Kix. Would even make this fight a little easier, as they'd only have to worry about Seavoff on the site. Kicks with another, and now Chronicle has to clutch up. He's already got himself a triple. 2 more, the ace needed, but less again. The dagger in the back from heaven. His lurks have been great these last 2 rounds. Huge value found, and now 5-2. That early contest was nowhere to be found, but Vitality waking up before it seems to be too late.
And they have been more direct. They haven't really allowed their opponents a chance to try and respond. An immediate pop of that dimensional drift spots out the position of Kayak. And at that stage, when you have that up, you have to leave. You're going to get salvaged, you're going to get stunned. It just has to be a retreat. And sure, I don't mind the initial response from Fnatic. Use that Nightfall, try and get back in nice and quick, even using a showstopper of their own in combination. The fact is, though, it's just the patience. And
Take him down. Actually, talking him, he can make them push.
again, Vitality odds.
We see a switch in things. They even
This is the long pause.
spinning that because this year about getting
in round 2 for them to be able to convert these round
I
3s, 'cause a lot
love
of the time we're seeing
the
Kayak on the
casters
outlook, we're seeing
and
Boaster
the
pick up that Phantom,
MCs
right?
in this
They're like
game.
investing quite heavily into their
In
second
this
round, which is
tournament,
allowing them
because
to have the
there
success when it comes to converting
there
that
will
bonus round.
always
I
be a
can't believe
random
they gave
pauses
both of the
that
Phantom on round 2.
are
Did you
longer
know
than
he was saying? It was
expected,
like,
and
the
they
beginning of the match, I
need
was
to
shooting,
come
I
up
was
with something
And
to
you
kill the
shouldn't,
time.
wasn't he? Like,
And
I know at some point. Yeah,
it's
'cause
not
Moldy's not allowed
it's not
to do
boring.
it, but, you know,
It's
God
like
forbid
something that
Moldy
is
sometimes
useful.
like
It's
keeps
either
fans
useful
to
or
himself
fun
instead
to
of giving
watch.
it
They
to
have
floor.
games.
But this
Like
is
I
the-
love the
I don't know about
production
you guys,
of
but you can almost
Valorant.
feel the tension a little bit. Both
maybe
sides,
there are
they're
other
not doing
games that
anything
they've
too
got
crazy.
like
They're both being
more
very disciplined. They're
interesting
warming up
production.
into this
but I
game
like this one.
until
I've
Vitality
never
became very explosive, and that is
I've-
often the way that you
I
beat Fnatic,
hadn't
right? Some teams just show them too much.
started
Yeah,
playing
I think
online
we saw
games
that,
until
when they were against BBL
I
and Kickoff,
met
especially, you know, they
my
were playing very kind of out the box
ex-boyfriend.
and like taking
Like,
a
he
lot of
was the
risks,
one who
and I
dragged
think
me
that
to this
Vitality now are
world.
kind of leaning into that a little bit more the past couple of rounds that we've seen. They're trying to lean into
Rest in
being
peace.
direct, not just like, you know, looking around the map, because Kayak was shutting them down so often. You've seen the main push where he was
He's
helping
gone.
set up Boaster. You see it in every lane. So yeah, I think I think that
it's unexpected.
Fnatic will have an answer for that at some point.
I mean, it's after
yeah,
our
and
breakup.
I think
though.
that
It's not like
thinking
I was
about
there
today and
when he
the
was going
stakes,
through it,
we
but
expect to see a very evened out. I think we're praying to go to Haven, not only because we want to see what happens with
So
the compositions, and
numbing
obviously
for
the
me.
head-to-head would be amazing.
Yeah.
But I think
To
that's
know
what
that
everybody
young
is
people like
expecting.
us
You
die
want to
too
see a
soon.
Fnatic that is back in
Anyways,
form, that can prove, that
let's
can
get back
base
to
off of it, and for the
What I
With it.
Follow through. Then Luke Road facing down that 6-0 in a high stakes buy round. Ults coming online for Fnatic.
They also, yeah, they used their ults there.
Exactly.
That was where they
Exactly.
went. It was the Nightfall and the Showstopper as well. So, yeah, they've kind of, they had the opportunity for a pretty insanely, but the response from Vitality, well, you always felt like at some point they would find it. Thing is, though, Fnatic are not struggling just yet. This next round loss would put them in a bit more of a awkward spot, and you can see again just Durga trying to sell these fakes. The fight is going to be taken, and well, it's actually gone all right. I thought that Kayak wouldn't get anything from that, but finds an opener, gets some info. Now Vitality have to find another idea.
Well, it seems they're already pretty set on where this one's going. Wrap all the way around to the A site. They'll challenge that, feeling like the choke point's maybe a bit weaker. Without Kayak floating around to potentially be holding that long range with the op.
Fake teleport.
Vitality. The big idea is to have less play that late. Now, I did think they would go through mid with him, but he goes back for the ultimate outside B, signaling that they've still got presence there, but the Prowler from Crashies grabs info. That's going to stop the over-rotation from Alpha Air. He's still going to be here for the push onto the site, or so they think. Push is coming in through Heaven. A lot of space taken by Vitality already. Less's lurks have just been so good. And it comes back to Alpha. Same position as before.
No.
And they're not going to clear it. That's 2 from... Oh, no!
Oh, these are not going to forget that one in a while. It's so much time, and unfortunately just the...
The round's not over yet.
Not even just wasting the bullets of one gun, but wasting the bullets of 2. And this is what it's like to face up against your old teammate. You're gonna kick him while he's down.
What did they say on the desk earlier? Like, oh, you'd think there's some sort of a rivalry, but it's all friendly on social media. Well, this ain't social media. They get involved. The new guy's in there too. Oh, they're letting them know that we're down to a classic. Running out of ammo to dump into the bodies. That is wonderful. And the post plant from Vitality not even going to be challenged. Boaster hearing all those shots. I was going to say he must be wondering what's going on, but he knows Durka. I think he knows exactly what was happening. That's a whiff that's going to sit with Alpha Air for a long time.
well, it's going to sit with him until he has a big round, which could be any moment. That's the one thing. I feel like there's some players that can get mentally boomed. And don't get me wrong, I feel like Alpha Year can be one of them at times. But I also feel like when he gets fired up, he aces you. So I think that maybe the frustration will be there, but I also think if you get this guy annoyed, he's going to come back at you swinging. So.
Holy shit. Yep. I think you can tell which team people are supporting by the reaction there. Some sat back in their seats, some sat way forward. That was phenomenal stuff. Oh, Alpha Year.
From Duck.
No, it was phenomenal from Alpha Year. It was one of my favorite plays he's made. Not so much his. In that replay, I think we got to see it.
Still have a buy hit. Now, it's definitely not the best out of Fnatic.
Locating target.
You got to judge potential for a Viper's Pit. Crash is going to be stuck down on a Guardian, and as said, when it came to last week's performance, it was a really big part of them being able to win. Hasn't seen the same success just yet, but it is early days. But well, the early days of this map was a 5-0 start for Fnatic, and now it's starting to slip.
The great thing is, like, Les is so strong in his lurk game that even though they just faked A, there's 3 players here, I don't worry for a second that Les is going to get his by the end of the round. Rotation comes back to middle. Spike's been waiting outside B the whole round. The intention has always been to end there, but to pull as much as they could towards that A site. Now they shift to the left. The whole body does. 4 players into main, and again, Les has lurked through heaven. It's been flawless so far. Let's see if that continues. Gate crash going through to back site. Probably the same salvos we saw before. No, in fact, just a dive.
Oh, and in fact, that gives an opportunity. That's the spike down on the deck. Bear that in mind. Not a lot of time left for Vitality to try and work with, and Boaster, more importantly, Kayak is just going strong. This duel within the B site has been perfection, or in-zone flawless, you could say.
It has indeed. An in-zone flawless round on the board. And yeah, I think the salvos must have been used a little earlier. They weren't online on the push through, but still, almost adding an extra layer to it, using the fake gate crash, the fake TP, instead of actually committing to it, but it didn't seem to cause any sort of a problem for Fnatic.
I'm pretty sure earlier when we had a replay for Boaster, he said, get me back on B. Well, I guess that's what happens when you do. Definitely having a strong individual performance. Okay, Doug has just been doped. Crashies decides to play ahead of the curve a little bit, and well, I guess you've seen Durka play for that ramp position so often. Just get up there and then retreat, teleport somewhere else on the map. This time he's punished.
There's a small risk of the walk up through heaven, but Boaster's just come in to fill that gap, so no real problems there for Fnatic. 3 players committed though to this half of the map, and then it sort of has to be. Puts a bit more pressure perhaps on Alpha Year. Crashy's lined up. Page to cross. They lose heaven control. They can't hold it together. Have to instead split their gaze in both directions. Nade. Yeah, not quite going to land on the players that were caught off. This push from Vitality, it's going to have a lot behind it. But look at the rotations from Fnatic now. There's about the whole squad's essentially here.
They even gave up the pit to be here. Stun, solid. Will force them back off the angle. Have the potential for some isolated duels. Les is looking for that gap once again. Alfia was forced forward by the utility, but they still don't seem aware. Not going to connect the shots, but his teammates have found everything they need. 20 seconds up and coming on the clock. No ground. No from the shadows. And honestly, it looks like no hope. I think this has to be a save now.
Yeah, they've made that call as well. Even for Seabuff, he's not safe.
10 seconds
Fnatic,
left.
they've got credits. They're going to go pushing forward, and more so than credits, they've got confidence. Kayak certainly does. 13 and 5, had a great game so far. Looks deep for the kill off of his flash. Ends up making it out alive, even though he missed the player in the corner. A big economy bolstering round for Fnatic, but with just 2 left, the question remains. You talked a lot about the attack side for both of these squads. Well, Vitality have got some ground to make up.
Oh, for sure. Oh, there's no doubt. A 7-3, and a lot of the streaks of rounds we've seen from Fnatic have been very dominant, very clean as well. So you're having a lot of finances going into the next few rounds. But I also really like the fact that even though you're talking about Fade alongside a Raze, not a whole lot of delay, the amount of time they bought for rotations there was sublime. Like the C's nade may not have got a kill, but did that early work. Kayak, aggressive position, much more so than before, and we see the same spread net set out by Vitality. Trying to watch for aggression, but also trying to find a gap.
A little bit less so now, leaving the A site a little bit more open. They still have a cam and a trap, but it's the fact they're not waiting for that aggression.
Oh.
It's a B main spot and mid where they still had numbers. They catch off Kayak. Looking for a little more as well. There's an opportunity for Sevov. Boaster filled in the angle, even shot a few shots towards him. With a player in B main and one already down, B seems like an easy target. Chronicle's the only one standing in the way and he gets caught by the decoy.
Oh, operator retreat, paranoia!
Oh.
And Sevov is gone. Boaster predicted where his opponent was coming from, and more importantly, he's been able to hold on to B main.
Said it was only Chronicle standing in the way. Didn't think B main would be able to be held onto so deep into the round. Big push by Vitality.
Yeah, they know.
Don't commit it though. It's half committed. Durka even caught with his knife out. Luckily kicks filled back into space and covers his retreat. A double pickup. And they know that Boaster is coming from B main. They've certainly heard the steps now confirming the rotate didn't come through, unless again from up in heaven. Who's surprised? Vitality, they were really slipping behind in this series, at least in those first 5 rounds. It looked scary, but looks like they're right back on the horse here.
Yeah, I really like the mid-rounding from Vitality. You had the realization that, okay, they're trying to get aggressive towards B main. They're going to expect us to, now we've got a kill to go in that direction. Let's take mid control. Let's find a gap elsewhere. They get the pick onto Chronicle. And even when they lose those sort of aggressive positions in B main, they go, okay, well, we need something else. Let's take spawn control. Let's fight the rotators to make sure that Fnatic don't get to just surround us. It's smart stuff in the mid round, and while Fnatic in this case weren't able to cope.
The Boaster might be having the best half of his life. 14 and 3
there's
at the
nowhere to
moment.
go.
You are done and dusted here, Chronicle. Between the salvos and the Armageddon, there was no way out of there. Caught, and it's a dangerous position to play. Once that ult is online, you see exactly why here.
Yeah. That's the thing, yeah, once the ult's online, you either have to just gamble that you can rotate out fast enough, or just hope they leave a gap, but you also don't just want to give up that Vents control completely, because then your opponent can walk up on you.
And even if they don't, just putting a cage for your heaven is going to leave you with doubts in your A heaven for the rest of the round, so it's just not a good idea to leave it open. I agree, but there's the risk. The reward for Vitality. Rolling Thunder online for this B-side taken. Look where they are. Repositioned slightly by Crashies. He can avoid it, maybe provide a little bit of cover as they step out. In fact, even gets the C's down. That's going to slow them. TP to the backside. Durka stuck it. They know, though. They've seen this before. Catching him. Great reveal that would have forced the hand. Boaster on the double. Crashies can't hold on, though. They're able to recover the site, but getting across with the spike is another challenge. Kayak's back up in heaven. Almost takes Safe out. The shot whizzing past his ear. 15 seconds. Last round. No time to save. He's got to swing in, but that means crossing the operator of Kayak. And he's hit the shot anyways. Already 3 under his belt. The nade through, not going to deny. The blast pack won't do it either. Safe's gotten away with it. The salvos! It's a bold play, and not one that will work out in his favor.
I think he's trying to sell the idea that he's gone somewhere else, try and bait his opponent, but unfortunately Alfio was just that little bit too quick. A really nice round. I think mainly the utility that came out from Crashies was absolutely fantastic. The fake on the reveal, the use of the C's as well. Superb round to set up his teammates. Of course though, that is only the first half, Mitch. We'll be back after the break.
Nice, Alfia. Holy shit, I'm good as well. Actually, so.
back, folks. 8 rounds on the board for Fnatic. After a 5-0 start, though, hell of a recovery from Vitality. They really pulled up their boots. And now it's time to take the long run back into the lead. 4 rounds in a row. It starts with the pistol. But Tom, there's been some factors for Vitality that have been a little bit missing. With Fnatic having Boaster 16-4, and Kayak was on a 9-2 start, not ending that badly with a 2 KD. That's not the half that Vitality would have envisioned.
Yeah, no, I saw a sign out in the crowd that said they may have Durka, but we've got Kayak. And honestly, in this map so far, Kayak has definitely been the better of the two. Of course, you have to look at the way that Durka was playing. Very aggressive with his TPs, trying to sell fakes, trying to push into certain spots on the defense. Got to be hopeful he can get a little bit more done and more kicks. Already going to be starting things off with a bang. Kayak is gone. There is a walk up in the meantime coming into B main. It looks, however, like the defense have decided to play this almost as a full retake. 4 players gathered up in towards that spawn area.
Yeah. They're going to come blitzing through. Late play by Crashies is being spotted. Making it out of here, not quite so easy. Tucked in the corner, but the fire from down below, it's lighting up the kill feed. Chronicle with the double, and the site now taken for a plant. They're not sticking it yet, still trying to bait more players into Chronicle's crosshair, and just seconds away from seeing that work. Oh, he's caught him off guard! It's a wonderful play! Leaving it down to Crashies to do it all, and they've spotted him too. What a round from Les already. With 35 seconds left, there's still time for Crashies to... Well, they're not behind him in main. That's what he was clearing there, so great information at least. Knows where both are, but dealing with Les seems to be a problem. 3-piece for him and a great recovery on a pistol round that was definitely in danger.
Yeah, I always find that with Les, when you're watching those attack sides, especially on a map like this, where he's going to get his one, he's going to be lurking in the back, maybe he finishes off someone as they're trying to like wrap back around. But it feels like he's not invisible, but you just don't see much of him in that first half. And then you get into the second half and you remember who he is. It's where you're walking into his setups, where he's rotating back in. And, well, in this, it was just the perfect timing and quick reactions to pick off a double. Vitality now get that pistol under their belt, and that's the difference. This could have been Fnatic walking away 10-4, potentially in the lead. Instead, unless a Bucky's going to do some real work, which it might, no. 3 HP though.
They were a pixel closer to him, who knows? Les again! It's the same old story.
See what I mean now?
Yeah. Yeah, that has nothing to do with setup or utility. This is just Les. Oh, he got popping heads. Eventually down goes Safe.
He got 3.
Yeah.
Like, the man only has a classic. This is always the thing when I feel like you watch Chronicle, you just see stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense. And now, with a gun in hand, Bulldog, the same as his opponents, one of them even tagged, and it's Chronicle, he has a chance.
Oh, but the shots don't land. Not in his favor this time. Vitality to take this round across the line, but I think it's fair to say they took a few more blows than they meant to in this one. It's going to be a bit more costly than it should have been, especially with Les, the guy who had basically nothing invested, coming through and just picking them apart up in heaven. The fact that Chronicle gets away with that, following up with another, and of course it was Les, injured from so much of that combat, and the same thing for Safe.
With a bookie on me. What a good boy.
A Bucky and a snake bite. Yeah, Safe hasn't had a fun round.
I think Les already has the same amount of kills in this half as he did the last, and that's not because he was particularly bad, it's just that he's got 2-3 Ks in the first 2 rounds. We'll see if that's a continuing trend. It does mean, I was going to say, there's not the best of purchases, but that's not the start they were looking for. A few spam shots that Sivov has walked into. But there is still the aggression of Durka in mid. Now, getting out of this spot can be difficult, but he does have himself the gate crash, at least for now.
Fake teleport.
It's used as a fake, but another goes out. Drone heard inside of B main. Information for Fnatic that right now Vitality should be rotating, should be expecting this to be an A hit.
Safe just picked up the rifle as well, so that has been retrieved.
The numbers will be ready for this A push. 3 players in position. You've got to get through Les's setup as well, and if one goes down, he'll have that information off the back of his ultimate, the Neural Theft. But look at where Boaster is, still sitting outside that B site. We could easily see a wrap back through the vents to try to meet him, and the only man that could stop them would be Safe. So his hold up in heaven, and that's exactly what's happening. Safe's hold is so important here. He's just missed Boaster, stepping through that angle. He might catch him here. Oh, he's being caught instead. And now the door is wide open for a plant.
And that timing couldn't be any better. That was the one sort of saving grace of this position, is having Safe potentially be able to cut them off on the rotation. Him going down, it is just a yellow brick road all the way back to the B site. Still with a lurk left in middle, so something that has to be wary from the defense. And a lot that they need to find here.
Oh, that was close. Just off by a little, and that would have really bridged the gap for Vitality. Chronicle hasn't been spotted. Taking a leaf out of Les's book.
Okay.
One pick, that'll spur them forward, but also gets Chronicle to make his play. The dagger in the back, and now they don't know how they can go forward, constantly worried about that backstab. Les, one to swing out first, does damage to Chronicle. Or Crashies, I should say. Chronicle's still up in heaven and may need to hurry up. Catches one, kicks with 2, but it's not enough. Too many bodies from Fnatic, and Chronicle's lurk paying off dividends.
The thing you now have to think about is how costly that was. That was a 4v5, you dropped a player immediately, and now you've ended up with none of your players surviving. You're going to have to drop down to the light shields immediately. I can see on the scoreboard, Durka has bought up the Outlaw. They're looking to go farming, so considering it was a bonus, okay, it had a few rifles in there that maybe they would have wanted to try and win, but I think the damage is honestly
First time someone
enough.
checked me.
And also, you have to talk about Vitality in that round being a little bit unlucky. Like Safe being caught, he checked that spot moments ago. Durka being caught, checking that spot moments ago. I think they could be relatively happy with that round, even if it's annoying.
Well, Chronicle comes in with a Viper's Pit ready to work with. B-side is the target. If they can get that pit down, there's a lot of trouble for Vitality, but Sivov able to pick off the first. Jack's already TP'd into the back of the site, but he's not got any real opportunities, barely avoiding the breach utility, but taking a big, heavy tag down to 45 HP. Good pickup by Durka, and they thought the kayak had left. They thought the utility had cleared him out, but he gave his position away. Boaster on 8 is the last man standing, and he won't stand any longer. Vitality 2 rounds behind after a 5-0 start. This is looking like the game is far from over, even on their defensive side.
The crazy thing is, I feel like Sivov started this one off with like the craziest game of aim training you've ever seen. It's like, okay, I got to pick up the Prowler, shoot the guy jumping, I got to spin around, try and shoot the Horn, and still survive.
I knew he was backside,
all of it.
but I thought
it just manages to do it.
I didn't.
Yeah, that's the thing. One of them knew he was backside, but it didn't come.
I love the face. It's like, well, yeah, you knew. You knew.
It was a good point, though. He thought he TP'd out. The breach utility should have cleared him. A Kix was just a little off with that, giving him a gap, and a gap that very nearly, well, could have cost them the round. In another world, it would have. Fnatic down on pistols, though. It's a classic buy at full eco for the squad. How things have been going. Should be a Vitality clean up. Though the first is a trade.
They're losing a lot of players to Classics. This is an obscure angle. I don't think I've ever seen a scope that far zoomed in on something. I feel like that's like when someone has to read with like a magnifying glass. Like you're a little bit too close to that one. But it's Durka. Still managed to hit the shot. Spike found. Know where that's going to be, and unfortunately any lurks, any sneaky plays are getting picked apart. Yeah, I know for a fact that Durka for a moment was like, I'll knife him, and then realized maybe not in this round. Maybe not when I could throw my gun to an opponent and when 2 of my teammates have light shields.
That's the other thing, right? Only Les could have taken a blast from that Outlaw. It's got 2 barrels. Alfier, he's walking into heavy traffic. Les was there, and I don't think he'd expect Sivov to be in position either. 9-8, 1 round between them for Vitality. That's got to feel like a real olive branch being extended. The fact that they came in slow to start, and even the fact that they found that, what was it, a full Thrifty round. They had like 4 Classics and a Sheriff and ended up picking up their first that way. That's given them these foundations to build on and be so close to the score of their opponent, close enough that Fnatic start to panic. They're calling a timeout here.
I think the rough thing for Fnatic was, of course, having that round victory, but one that you have no players surviving. So the thing's becoming incredibly costly. And then a lot of the aggression hasn't really worked out for them. Even the sort of classic B-site combo where you have like the gate crash to the back of the site and then you have the raise run through. It felt quite easy for Sevov to isolate a duel and still get out of there because of counter utility that was being thrown in. I think Kix, as always, has been doing an excellent job of at least making those fights so good. Okay, he may have forgot to calm the Kayak was there, but he did a lot of damage to him and made sure that he couldn't fight Sevov in the initial battle.
Also forgive him because he was pretty certain that he'd pushed him out of the position. Just a tiny bit of misutil.
He's a breach. He's got other things to do, you know?
He's busy. He's busy. You want a breach that doesn't calm things. No, but obviously it's a flash in the pan. Good to see as well during that timeout. You've got Scut and Milan. Milan's someone that for a long time I think we've desired seeing in that head coach position. Done a lot of work for a lot of teams behind the scenes, and obviously we've seen him in the assistant coach spots. But him getting his chance, especially at a team like this, I don't think that's a chance that he will let fumble anytime soon. 9-8, 1 round between them. Fnatic, they've got their full buy. They've got some ultis to work with as well. Still waiting to see Crashies, once they get the site, put that Viper's Pit into play. Oh, and it doesn't matter. The Viper's got a bite to it in the pit or not.
I think he was literally like a few milliseconds away from getting a collat. Like they lined up perfectly for Durka, but his opponent was quicker on the trigger. Now look to continue that space. That's the thing. Look at where the rest of the players are, though. They are spread across the map. You've got a deep hold towards B. And okay, sure, Kayak's taken space alongside that Viper screen, but I think they're just going to leave him in position because the defense have rotated heavily here. And I thought, okay, maybe you'd look at the ults and see like a from the shadows, there's a chance for a quick rotation. It's not that. They are fully reliant on less to hold on to B if they go that way. And honestly, I'm okay with it.
I can understand it. Yeah, you play the retake if needed, and with the ults that they have, why not?
And it's less.
And it's less, indeed. But of course, Rolling Thunder almost being online, but even the stun from Breach alongside salvos and an Armageddon can easily turn the tide of a side take. It has, and the rotation's coming in, but it's surely not. They're taking a while to get to backside, actually. They'll be here on time to potentially disrupt that plan, depending on utility, and with 12 seconds, that's not ideal. In comes the Armageddon, 10 seconds on the clock. We're down to the last chance. The plant needs to be stuck. If they can interrupt, it could change the game, but they're not there on time. And the full stick is cancelled! A huge piece of utility. Kix may have made a mistake with that very same util before, but this time, the Aftershock hits hard.
I wonder if he calmed that one. I've got him. That is just
Durka's behind the box.
Timing. Yeah, that's the thing. A little bit slow. The Nightfall gave the game away. Yeah, as said, that was an almost guaranteed collat. But it was the Aftershock, just held until the last few seconds. That is literal perfect timing coming out of Kix. And as said, he's someone that is just incredibly intelligent player when it comes to this initiator. 9-9, scoreline equalized. Weaponry now, a bit of an issue. Ultimates either online or getting close, other than the one that was utilized in the last round. And while Durka's already going to kick things off with a pick. This was one of the guns as well, right? Yes, Kayak's just picked it up.
That last coming down to the wire, putting Vitality neck and neck, putting the economy ahead for them. This is huge. Yeah, the damage done to Kayak is massive. Again, that Viper's Pit's still online for Fnatic. In a round like this, you'd love to have it. But with Chronicle picked off early, that option completely gone, and with it, a lot of the hope for this round to fall into their hands. Alfier, one of those rifles, fighting solo. Not able to find a result and very quickly turns tail from mid. They're going to group up. And maybe we'll even see, like, Kayak 6 HP with the Vandal. It could go to someone else. Boaster's been having a good game. Let's see.
Group up first. Well, Safe maybe getting a little bit more information than he bargained for. Takes a tag. Solid paranoia. Sevov decides to delay instead, and with those salvos, again, that clock is being burnt dangerously low. I think Vitality are doing a great job at cycling that utility and just making these fights so incredibly awkward. Back they go towards the A site. Durka homed in with the sniper, but he gets taken out by Alfier. You mentioned that rifle, it's still in hand again. They need to cross to the side, and they just about spot out safe in the last second. Althea's revenge from what was that previous half. And now even has the showstopper. Nobody is going to be facing, but shoots it a little early. That gives Seavoff a chance.
Yeah, that's tough. Showstopper, even just to buy that extra time, but as soon as it's fired off, they know they've got an opportunity, capitalizing on it. Rolling Thunder goes through to the backside, heavy pressure put on these players now, mostly stuck here. Boaster's playing post plant, but you can't run down that much time with the Stars. He needs to pick off a few, and in fact, they're even blocking the Star as the grab well comes in, trying to get that little bit of extra space, and although it won't work out, kills go their way. And with plenty of time on the clock, so too does the round. 10-9. Vitality started this out 5-0 down, and they've just taken the lead on a side where we expected them to put up less rounds. Well, that's certainly not been the case so far.
No, and I think as well, this was a really good recovery. Like after what was, I think, a fantastic start to the round, it was basically just a sandwich. The middle of it went Fnatic's way, where they were able to get in late, they were able to find a pick, they were able to get a showstopper, but that's maybe the slight overheat. Like, I understand it. You wanted to make sure that your teammate was safe while planting, so you try and get aggressive, but the second it is fired, an immediate swing from Seavoff, good read on his opponent, and then having that Rolling Thunder to get them back into the site, courtesy of Kicks having again, a sublime game. And again, you look at the scoreboard at the moment, and I would say it's somewhat the unusual suspect. Kicks at the top of the board, Boaster at the top of the board. I don't think too many people would have called that coming into this map.
Yeah, we've seen before the Breach have a field day on this map in particular. So many tight laneways for you to individually use your utility, but especially when you're coming in with a Breach Tejo combo, I sort of expect it to be safe being the highlight, taking advantage of all those pieces of utility.
Just sat back on the map, someone just activating stuns for whoever needs it, like
right?
the old DRX style.
That's usually what you're going to be relegated to, but Kicks has had a real fingerprint on most of these rounds, and for Vitality, it's been a saving grace. If he's a little quieter, Fnatic are in the lead and probably about to close out this map, but instead, Fnatic's map pick now under heavy threat. We've seen pauses called by them as well to try to combat this, but the momentum carries on in favor of the defense. That's now 6 out of 7 rounds in this half. Move on to the next, where again, the credits are very low for Fnatic.
So correct me if I'm wrong, I think Kayak was 14-7.
Accurate at the halftime.
14-14.
Yep.
So it has been, he's been silenced. Like, that's it. He's been silenced. And again, we mentioned it when we talked about Durka and his need to almost teleport into risky areas. And now we're seeing the other side of it. It can be rough to be a Yoru on the attack. Fact is, though, Durka now has the Operator and the Dimensional Drift. The same can be said for the other side with the Dimensional Drift at least, and a Viper's Pit. Something to get them in and something to hold on. Immediately, Kayak is going to look to try and take that space, but it's a ruse for the other side of the map.
Durka thins the herd, and again, a round where Chronicle wants to put that ult into play. Kayak with a risky maneuver, but they needed to recover something on that push. Unfortunately, it's left them in a really tough spot. 5v2 now, it's safe, taking down Alphier, and Crashy's hold as he might. He's separated from his teammate, he's all alone, and you can't hold all those angles. Not when Vitality are flooding back in. It feels like there's a couple rounds now where we've seen Fnatic want to make it to a site. The Chronicle just gets eliminated immediately. You lose your wall, you lose your post-plant ability. Even if they got site control, and he was still one of the members moving in there, Pit goes down, and you've got a real chance. You can divvy up the map a little bit easier, but they have been stopped at the word go every time.
10 seconds left.
It's definitely impressive. Again, you're looking back to a lot of the victories that we've seen out from this Vitality squad, and it was sort of reliant on heavy attacks. You go back to maybe the loss they had to T1 on Split, it was because they had a poor attack side. This time, though, it's almost looking like they're one of their first games when they play versus Foot, 11-1 defense. Well, maybe that's where we're going, because there's only been one round in this half for Fnatic, and I also have to caveat with they had 0 players surviving in that one round, so there has not been anything particularly competitive, and if it has, I feel like Vitality have been doing great work to recover. Now with the wind at their back, confidence flowing after some quieter starts. I don't know, I think there needs to be something drastic to change for Fnatic if they're going to be able to take this map home.
decent enough investment from Fnatic. They'll still have mostly credits for the next, and any weaknesses can maybe be bolstered down by a site take with a pit going down. But with Chronicle's first deaths so far, not sure that that's something you want to build a plan around. Vitality have done very well at being disruptive, whether it's Durka getting aggressive for those early picks.
I think the salvos as well from Safe. Like, we're used to him, go back a year or two, just first man in taking battles, but I think his salvos have been so disruptive. A good start though, that's less down, and a lot of the time that's a solo anchor. You can see Alfia is going to try make a move off of it. The stun is perfect. The supportive util for Boaster, and then the swing from Kayak.
Yeah, that's worked out wonderfully. I think a little bit whiffy up in heaven before the stun landed, but gets there in the end. Well, gets there in the end for Alfia. 9 rounds turning into 10, most likely. And the question for Safe and Durka is whether they go for it. They've got credits to throw at this one, but in a 2v5, it just feels wasteful, especially when you want to build up as many opportunities to contest in rounds as possible with this kind of a lead. It's only 2 rounds, and as we said, soon to be 1. Chronicle up trying to catch these players off. Again, the economy of Fnatic, because of the investment they made here, being a little middle and keeping credits over for the next, they can afford to take risks, especially if it comes at the cost of or with the benefit of removing the operator, which is exactly what they get. Crashes with the double and in-zone flawless for Fnatic, and well, that's the first round this half that feels repeatable.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Out of 2.
The first one they won with players alive. But that, then, an in-zone flawless, meaning that you come out with everybody standing. It is going to help them, especially if they were to slip up anywhere along these last few rounds
Really nice
before
shot,
overtime.
Alfia. Really nice shot, Alfia.
Oh, Boaster, I think, trying to build the confidence back up. We mentioned Alfia having that
Back,
whiff early in the
guys.
game, having a few moments that are not very Alfia-esque.
Alfia-esque.
But a decent
Alright,
one when they needed it
I'm gonna
most.
end
Durka
the stream
looking to
and start
respond
I'm
in
not
kind.
Sure what's gonna happen.
Still had his ultimate for a while, another
This is a
get out
watch.
of jail free card, but instead this
watch.
time the gate crash will be enough. I think Fnatic have